A few weeks ago, I was preparing one of my songwriting classes for the university that I teach at in Melbourne. So for this class, I was looking for some examples of songs written in the Dorian mode, and I came across Alanis Morissette's 1995 smash hit, You Oughta Know, on her record, Jagged Little Pill. So just to foreshadow here, yes, there is the Dorian mode in this song, but as I was playing through this song and really understanding what was going on, I realized that there are other things happening in this song that make it far weirder than just being a song in the Dorian mode, and in my opinion make it absolutely awesome and worth sharing with you so that you can hear them, understand them, and ultimately use them in your own songs and songwriting. So let's dig into this song. The verse and pre-chorus of this song are straight Dorian. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play the song for you. I'm going to play the verse, pre-chorus, and the chorus so that you can hear how the song progresses. As I'm playing through those three sections, I'll also point out where the weird and amazing things are, and then we'll come back, break it down, understand it, give it names, and I'm gonna really demonstrate how you can adapt those things, change them, and use them in your own songs and songwriting. I want you to know that I'm happy for you, and I want nothing but the best for you both. Cause the love that you gave that we made wasn't able to make it enough for you to be open wide. You know, and every time you speak a name, just you know that you told me it'd hold me until you died, but you're still alive, and I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away. It's not fair to deny me all the price I bear that you gave to me. You ought to know. So let's talk through the weird and awesome things that are happening in this song. So the very first thing is absolutely the Dorian stuff happening in the verse and pre-chorus. So the verse and pre-chorus are very Dorian chords, very Dorian melody. So what does that even mean? So the chord progression in the verse and pre-chorus is just moving back and forward between the chords F sharp minor and B major. So we're really in the key of F sharp minor. F sharp is what we call our key center. The other word for that is tonic. So when we're in a key, we call our tonic chord the one chord, and because it's a minor chord, we call it the one minor chord. So we have this one minor chord, and because that's one, this B chord is a perfect fourth above it. We call it the four chord. Now the interesting thing here is that this B chord is a major chord, but if we actually lay out all the chords that are in a traditional or natural minor key, the four chord is not actually a major chord. It's usually a minor chord. The four minor is the chord that is usually in the key of a regular old sort of bland minor scale. But the fact that it is a major chord, that it contains this note, not that note, is what makes this Dorian. So there's really only one note here that makes Dorian different to the natural minor, and that note in relation to the key is the natural six. So where in the natural minor we would have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. In the Dorian mode, we have a natural six. We have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, 1. So the natural six is actually the only thing that makes Dorian Dorian and not natural minor. See, it's not that complicated. So when we build chords out of the notes of F sharp Dorian, which is to say we're building diatonic chords to F sharp Dorian, the difference between F sharp Dorian and F sharp natural minor is that this four chord is going to contain that D sharp, that natural six, which is going to make it a B major chord as opposed to a B minor chord, which is what it would be when we have just that D natural, that flat six inside F sharp natural minor. Now there are a couple of other chords that change in Dorian compared to the minor key, but we're really interested in what's happening in this song. And here it's just this movement between one minor and four major. This is actually one of the most characteristic Dorian chord combinations. Now, when we're working in modes, we actually can't get super fancy with our chords. We don't want to use too many chords because the ear will actually have trouble hearing the mode. And again, it's kind of for esoteric music theory reasons, but in practice, it's actually more effective just to use 2 chords or 3 chords, making sure that we're really using that tonic chord so we hear the key center, and at least one of the chords that contain that characteristic pitch. So the 4 major chord is really a very Dorian sound when combined with the 1 minor in the key. So 1 minor and 4 major, it's a very classic and very characteristic Dorian chord progression. It really establishes the minor tonality, but gives us the brightness of that natural 6. And that's the whole flavor of the Dorian mode. It is fundamentally dark with a splash of bright. The other really important thing about this Dorian moment of the song is that all the notes that she's singing are directly drawn from the F sharp Dorian scale, and especially in that pre-chorus, she starts the melody on that D sharp note and she actually returns to it. So she's really emphasizing the characteristic pitch of Dorian, which is that natural 6 D sharp in F sharp Dorian. So let's look at the numbers of the notes in that melody, and you can see that they're all drawn from the Dorian scale. Every time you speak her name, does she know how you told me you'd hold me until you died? So that's our first weird and awesome thing happening in this song, that it's very, very Dorian, it's modal, the melody is extremely Dorian, and in fact that pre-chorus is kind of just a scalar melody, which means it's kind of just running down the Dorian scale to construct the melody of that section. For a list of other Dorian songs, as well as song references in all the other modes, just click on the free link in the show notes, and that will take you to an article that not only explains the differences between all the modes, which we're not going to cover today, but gives you examples of those songs in action. Let's move on to the second weird and wonderful musical move in this song. This musical move is what's called parallel modulation. Isn't that wild? Don't you just want to know what that is? This is where things get truly weird and truly awesome in this song. This is what happens in the chorus of this song. So let's hear the chorus coming into it from the pre-chorus so you can really notice that something changes in the chorus. And every time you speak a name, does she know that you told me you'd hold me until you died, but you're still alive, and I'm here to remind you of the mess you left. What has happened here in the chorus? Well, the most dramatic thing that happens is that the chorus does not start on an F sharp minor chord, it starts on an F sharp major chord, which means the chorus has shifted into some kind of F sharp major scale. But the amazing thing is it's not just the regular old F sharp major, it is F sharp Mixolydian, which is another one of our modes. Now, what is Mixolydian? Mixolydian is a major scale, and there's only one difference between Mixolydian and the regular major scale, and that is the note flat 7, which happens at the top of the scale. So where a regular F sharp major scale would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, F sharp Mixolydian goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. So Mixolydian is a major scale with a flat 7. One of the chords that is then built from the Mixolydian scale, so a chord that is diatonic to F sharp Mixolydian, but different to F sharp major, is this E chord, which is the second chord of the chorus. So we get... Now this chord is what we call the flat 7 major chord. And that combination of 1 major and flat 7 major is a very Mixolydian sound. There are lots of songs that do nothing but go between 1 major and flat 7 major, and that's a great Mixolydian bed. So if you wanted to get started writing a song in Mixolydian, you wouldn't actually need to do more than that. Go between 1 major and flat 7. You could even chuck in a 4 major in there and come back to 1. And that combination of 1, flat 7 and 4 major is a really powerful Mixolydian chord progression. Mixolydian is kind of like the inverse of Dorian. So where Dorian is dark with a splash of bright, Mixolydian is bright with a splash of dark. Other Mixolydian songs that you know and love already include Norwegian Wood by the Beatles, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and a more contemporary hit song written in Mixolydian is the song Royals by Lorde. If you are feeling at all overwhelmed at this moment, I have included a free PDF. The link is in the show notes, where I have written out 3 different chord progressions for you that use this concept of parallel modulation. So if the thinking component is doing your head in, just grab the PDF, play through the chord progression, get it under your fingers, and have some fun. But there is one more totally weird and wonderful musical maneuver that Alanis Morissette uses in this song, and I really want to dig into it with you. The final weird and wonderful musical move here is a concept called modal borrowing, and there is a chord of modal borrowing inside that chorus, as if doing parallel modulation wasn't enough. Once we are in F-sharp Mixolydian in the chorus, Alanis actually uses a chord that's not in F-sharp Mixolydian, that is in a different F-sharp mode. So the chorus of this song we have just discovered is in F-sharp Mixolydian. So let's actually take a look at the chords that are diatonic to F-sharp Mixolydian. Now let's take a look at the chord progression of the chorus. I'll play it through for you again. So here we go. So that A major chord is not diatonic to F-sharp Mixolydian. It is not an F-sharp Mixolydian chord, it is something else, and it is what we call a chord of modal borrowing. In relationship to the tonic of the chorus, which is still F-sharp, we're still in the key of F-sharp, that A is a minor third above F-sharp. So the A major chord, we actually call that a flat 3 major chord. Anytime that you see a chord in a chord progression that is not diatonic to the mode that the rest of the chords are in, we call that a non-diatonic chord. And non-diatonic chords are absolutely fine to play in any key. The problem is if you play too many non-diatonic chords, it's really easy to actually lose the key center. And when we lose a key center, we lose all sorts of things. We lose the ability to create resolution. We also lose the ability to create sort of meaningful tension. So being in a key with a really clear tonic is actually a really good thing, but kind of throwing in 1 or 2 chords that are outside the key adds this splash of interesting color that creates this feeling and texture of kind of sophistication and interest, and really spotlights a moment in a chord progression. So flat 3 is a chord of modal borrowing. It is borrowed from a different F-sharp mode that is not F-sharp Mixolydian. So what mode is it? Well, that flat 3 major chord is diatonic to lots of F-sharp minor modes, including F-sharp natural and F-sharp Dorian. So we could actually say that she's interspersing her F-sharp Mixolydian chorus with a chord that is actually calling back to the F-sharp Dorian mode that we were in the verse and pre-chorus. Pretty clever. So the combination of these 3 things, you know, starting the song in F-sharp Dorian, then doing this parallel modulation to F-sharp Mixolydian, but then throwing in this chord of modal borrowing back from F-sharp Dorian inside F-sharp Mixolydian, makes this song far weirder than I think anyone ever thought or expected, and it also makes it super awesome, and you can use all of these concepts in your own songwriting too. If you can think of any other songs that use modes or modal borrowing or parallel modulation, please write it in the comments and let us all know about it. And for a deeper exploration of modal borrowing, you can also check out this video right here. Happy writing, guys. I'll see you next time.